Hello and welcome to this video on the Functional Skills Maths Practice Paper 2 at Level 2. We're going to cover Section A first, which is the non-calculator section. We have 25 minutes to do it and there are 15 marks available. Let's start with question 1. What is 3/5 as a decimal? Well, one of the decimals we've asked you to remember is that 1/5 is 0.2. Therefore, if you have 3 lots of 0.2, you end up with 0.6. So your correct answer is 0.6, and that's what you'd circle. If you can't remember what 1/5 is, that it's 0.2 and you need to multiply it by 3, you can do it the other way, and that is divide 3 by 5. So 3 divided by 5, and then 5 doesn't go into 3, carry the 3. Don't forget your decimal points. And then you use one of your invisible zeros. 5 goes into 30 6 times. So either way, you're going to get the correct answer. Question 2. 7 subtract 2.835. So we can set this up in our column method and use holding zeros to make 7 as long as the 2.835. And then work our way along from right to left. So 5 from 0 doesn't go, we need to borrow one. We can't borrow from these zeros, so we borrow from the 7 and turn it into a 6. The other zeros become 9s, and this one becomes a 10. So 5 from 10 is 5, 3 from 9 is 6, 8 from 9 is 1, don't forget your decimal point, 2 from 6 is 4. So our answer is 4.165. Question 3. Work out the size of the angle x in this triangle. Well, we know the angles inside a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And we have two angles that we do know, which are both 36. So 36 times 2 is 72. So 80, take away the 72, leaves 108 degrees. So the angle that's missing is 108 degrees. Question 4. Work out 480 times 2000. So let's ignore the zeros and do 48 times 2, which we know is 96. Then all we need to do is put the zeros that we ignored. So there's 1 there, and there's 3 here. So it gives us 9, 6, and 4 zeros. So 960,000 if you want to put the comma in. Work out 35 as a fraction of 120. So 35 as a fraction of 120. What we need to do is simplify, so we know that 5 goes into both of these because they end in a 0 and a 5. So 5 goes into 35 7 times, and 5 goes into 120. Well, if you're not sure, just do it as a long division. So 5 doesn't go into 1, but 5 goes into 12 twice, remainder 2. 5 goes into 20 4 times. So we end up with 7 over 24. 7's a prime number. Does it divide into 24? Well, 7, 14, 21, 28. No, it doesn't. Therefore, our final answer, simplified, is 7 over 24. Question 6 is work out 32% of £150. So whenever you get a percentage of an amount in the non-calculator exam, use the 10% rule. So we know 10% is £15, and therefore 30% must be 3 lots of 15, which is £45. So we've got our 30%. For our 1%, much like our 10%, but rather than dividing by 10, divide by 100, you end up with £1.50. We don't want 1%, we want 2%. So we end up with another £3. So to get our 32%, we've got our 45 and add our 3, and that gives us £48. So don't forget the pound sign, and it's £48. Question 7, work out minus 270 divided by 6. Well, it's a negative number that's going to be our answer, so we can deal with the negative and just put it on our answer line. So all we're left with is 270 divided by 6. 6 doesn't go into 2, so carry the 2. 6 goes into 27, 6, 12, 18, 24, 4 times, remainder 3. And 6 goes into 30, 5 times. So our answer is negative, and it's negative 45. Question 8. What is 54% as a fraction in its simplest form? Well, we know 54% quite literally means 54 over 100. We can see they're both even, so we can divide them by 2. So I know 100 divided by 2 is 50. 54 divided by 2 might be trickier, so let's not take any chances and use the bus stop. 2 goes into 5 twice, remainder 1. 2 goes into 14 7 times. So we have 27 over 50. Should be able to recognize that 27 is divisible by 3, but 3 doesn't go into 50. It's also divisible by 9, and 9 doesn't go into 50 either. So our simplest form is 27 over 50. Question 9. Plot the point minus 3, 2 on this grid. So we know we deal with the x-axis first, and it's a negative number, so we're going to go left on our axis. So we're going to go to this number minus 3, and then we're going to go up 2 because the y is positive. So plot the point minus 3, 2 is here. Question 10. A, B, C, and D are scatter diagrams. Which diagram shows negative correlation, and circle your answer below. So looking at our diagram, there's no real correlation on A. B looks like it goes positive. C looks like it goes negative, and D is kind of weak positive. So the only one it could be is C, so we circle answer C. Question 11, a bit of BIDMAS for us. Work out 25 minus 2 times 3 squared. So remember what BIDMAS stands for. B is brackets, and we have no brackets. Then deal with indices, and we have an index here. So it becomes 25 minus 2 times, and then 3 squared. 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9. Next, we have to deal with division and multiplication first. So there is a multiplication here that we need to deal with first. So 25 subtract 18. And then finish off with any addition and subtraction. So 25 minus 18 is 7. So our answer is 7. Question 12 is asking us to select the plan view of this 3D object. So when you're looking at a plan view, you're looking at it from above. So I can see there's 3 in a line there, 1 to the left there, and 1 to the right there. So I've got 3 in a line, 1 to the right and 1 to the left. So A fits. B doesn't because it hasn't got the 1 to the right. This one is orientated the wrong way round. So the 1 to the right needs to be up here. So it's in the wrong place. And here, again, D is wrong because there needs to be 1 there. So the only answer it can be is selection A. Question 13 says the distance from Preston to London is 344 kilometres. If 5 miles is 8 kilometres, how far is this in miles? So this is a ratio question giving us our strap line, which is our relationship between miles and kilometres. So we know there are 5 miles to 8 kilometres. We haven't got 8 kilometres, we've got 344. So to work out what our scale is, in other words, how do we get from 8 to 344, we need to divide 344 by 8. 8 doesn't go into 3, but 8 goes into 34 4 times, because 8 fours are 32. So that leaves a remainder of 2. 8 goes into 24 3 times. So 8 has been multiplied by 43 to give us our 344. What we need to do now is multiply 5 by the same scale, which is 43, to give us our answer. So 5 times 43, if you can't do it in your head, don't take any chances, do 43 times 5. So 5 fours are 20, with a 0 that I've missed. And then 5 threes are 15. So add the 2 together and you end up with 215. So 344 kilometers is 215 miles. Question 14. If Gartier puts £400 into an account that pays 3% interest per year, how much would be in the account after the first year? So after 1 year, how much do we have? So we're doing a manual calculation of percentages, so we can use our 10% rule or our 1% rule. So 1% equals £4 because we divide 400 by 100. Therefore, 3%, we need to multiply this by 3, which is £12. Don't forget to add it to your original amount. So the amount she has in the account after 1 year is £412. Question 15. If the temperature in Paris is minus 2.9 degrees C and London is 1.4 degrees C, what is the temperature difference? So we've got minus 2.9 and positive 1.4. If you're at all confused on how to do these, sketch your number line. So we've got a 0. And then we've got Paris at minus 2.9. And we've got London at 1.4. So you've got Paris at 2.9 between here and here, and London at 1.4 between here and here. So to work out the temperature difference, you need to add the 2.9 and the 1.4. And this gives you 4.3. So the answer on the answer line, 4.3, don't forget the units, degrees C. Okay, that's the end of section A. So now we're moving on to section B, where we are allowed to use our calculator. Don't forget though, everything you type into your calculator, you need to write down so the examiner can see what you're inputting into the calculator. Don't just write answers down. Question 1 starts off with a multiple choice. Which of the following decimals is the greatest? So you have 0.708, You have 0.78, 0.078 and 0.7018. Now, the longest one has got 4 decimal places, so let's make them all 4 decimal places long so we can compare like with like. There we go. So I've got 7,080, I've got 7,800, I've got 780 and 7,018. So the biggest number is 0.78. Question 2 is asking us to work out this calculation, and we need to give our answer as a decimal. So we're going to put that into our calculator, and we can break it down into 2 parts. We can see the 2.5 divides everything above it, so let's add the 2 numbers at the top to start with using our calculator. So when you add these 2 numbers, you get 30.29. And we need to divide it all by 2.5. And that gives us 12.116. And that's our 1 mark. Question 3. If it takes 8 men 12 days to build a wall, how long will it take 3 men? Now, when you look at questions like this, you must be thinking about inverse proportions. So, our ratio, our strap line from the initial information is 8 men take 12 days. Now, before we can work out the 3 men, because it's a horrible number, we can work out one of something. So, how long will it take 1 man to build the wall? Well, on this side, to get from 8 to 1, we divide it by 8. Now, if you divide one side by 8 on an inverse proportion, you would multiply the other side by 8 to get 96 days, which makes sense. You know, the more people you throw at something, the less time it takes. So 1 man would take an awful long time. He'd take 96 days. So now we've got what 1 man can do. Let's look at 3 men. So if we go from 1 to 3, we've multiplied it by 3, which means on this side, we need to divide by 3. So 96 divided by 3 on our calculators gives us 32 days as our answer. So we're here, 32 days being the unit. Question 4. Circle the calculation that increases £260 by 17%. So you might remember when we do a calculation of the original amount after a percentage change, we use the number method, where if you multiply the number by 100%, you end up with the same number. So we turned it into a decimal, so if we multiply it by 1, it gives us the same number. And we said that 17% is the decimal 0.17. So we need to multiply to get an increase by 1.17. So we have to have 260 times 1.17, which is the final option that we have to circle. Question 5. Write the following number in digits. So 403,000, so 403,000, 720, 720. Question 6. Work out 5 3/4, take away 1 1/8. Now we can do this straight away using our calculator. If you can remember, there was a mixed number button above the normal fraction button here. So go Shift, mixed number, and put in the fraction 5 3/4 using your rocker switch to put in the numerator and the denominator. So that's our 5 3/4. Don't forget to move the rocker to the right, so we're not subtracting from the 4, we're subtracting from the whole mixed number. Then use the same button again, so the mixed number button, and put in 1, use the rocker switch to get your 1/8. And then just press equals. It gives you a mixed number format, which is 37/8. Don't forget, if you press Shift and your SD button, it converts it into mixed numbers, which is what we should really use because that's what they've asked us the question in. So 4 5/8 is our answer. Four and 5/8. So just write 4 and 5/8 on the answer line. It's 1 mark. We don't have to show any working out. And in this case, we've actually used our calculator to do all the hard work for us. Question 7, which is worth 2 marks. A circle of a radius 5.2 centimeters is inside a circle of radius 8.3 centimeters. Work out the shaded area. So we need to work out the area of the two circles. So we've got the big circle, which we'll call area 1, and the little circle, which is area 2. So let's work out those two areas and then take one from the other to give us the shaded area. So area 1, now you need to remember that the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So for area 1, the big circle, we have pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which is 8.3, and we're just going to square it. Now we can just stick that in our calculator, let the calculator do the work. See how I've put it all in one go? 3.14 times 8.3 squared. The calculator knows biz maths, so it will do the calculation for us. And we end up with 216.3146. So let's put the correct answer down, the whole number down. Let's do the same for the area of the second circle. So the area for circle 2, which is the smaller circle on the inside. So we know pi is 3.14. And we're going to multiply it by the radius of this smaller circle, which is 5.2. And don't forget, we need to square it. That's our formula. So put this in your calculator again. Press equals. Press the SD button to give us a decimal and write down the number that we've got, 84.9056. So that's the area of our smaller circle. Now all we need to do is take our big circle, subtract our small circle, and that will give us the shaded area that's left. So the shaded area is 131.409. It's centimeters, and don't forget area is squared, and that's worth 2 marks. Question 8. Lisa has to drive 50 miles to the market. The market starts at 9 and she needs to arrive at least half an hour before the market starts. She leaves home at 7:10. Lisa says if I drive at 40 miles per hour, I will be there in time. Is she correct? So if the market starts at 9 and she wants to be there half an hour before, then she has to get there by 8:30. if she leaves home at 7:10, then she's leaving herself 1 hour and 20 minutes to do the journey. With a speed of 40 miles per hour, will she be there in time? So in 1 hour, she will travel 40 miles, and then 20 minutes is a third of an hour. So what is a third of 40? Well, 3 goes into 4 once, remainder 1. 3 goes into 10 3 times, and then it's going to be a remainder of 1. So it's going to be 13.3 miles recurring. So she's going to do 13.3 miles in that 20 minutes. So altogether, in her 1 hour and 20 minutes, she can actually do 53.3 miles in an hour and 20 minutes. So if she drives at 40 miles an hour, she'll be there in time. Is she correct? She is. And that should get you the 3 marks. You've got your working out, and you've proven that in an hour and 20 at 40 miles an hour, she does over 53 miles, and she only has 50 miles to travel to the market. Question 9. Work out the percentage decrease from 5,200 to 4,108. So you need to remember that the percentage change is the difference between the two amounts divided by the original. And then, because it's a percentage, we multiply by 100%. So let's work out the difference between the two amounts. Just use your calculator. You don't have to use column methods or anything. That's 1,092. So the top half is 1,092 divided by the original amount, 5,200, and then just multiply it by 100 to get your percentage change. So we can do this on our calculator as a fraction. So 1,092, rock it down for the denominator of 5,200, move it to the right, multiplied by, and then 100%. Press equals, and we end up with 21%. So our answer on the answer line for 3 marks, 21%. Levi works for a company that designs and builds playgrounds. Here is a sketch of the plan of the new playground. What they want us to do first is work out the area of the playground. So we can do this in a number of ways. We can work out individual sections, or we can work out the whole section and then take away the little sections that are cut out. Whichever way you do it, as long as you get the correct answer, it's fine. So let's look at working out the whole of the rectangle. So if we extend it and we work out the area of our complete rectangle, it would be 20 meters times the 16 here. And that would give us the complete rectangle. So that's 320 meters squared for the whole thing. Then we've got two sections that we need to work out the area. So we've got this by this, so we're going to take that away from our complete area. And then we've got this triangle. Now, if we know the whole thing is 20 and this is 7 and this is 7, then that must be 6 meters for that length there. So this particular rectangle is 6 meters by 5 meters, which is 30 meters squared. So that's going to come off our bigger rectangle. Now, for this section here, we're working out the area of a triangle. So we need to know the base times the height. Well, the base is 5. The height is 7. Therefore, it's 35. And we need to divide it by 2. So it's 17.5 meters squared for this section here that we need to also take away. So the area of the whole thing is 320 meters. The area of this little indent here, this 5 by 6 meters rectangle, is 30 meters. And then take away the area of this little triangle that's missing that we've worked out as 17.5 meters. And that leaves us with the area of the playground as 272.5. It's meters and its area, it's squared. So on the answer line, 272.5 meters squared. For question 10b, the table shows the items that are needed in the playground. So we've got a climbing frame, a swing, and 2 rockers. The playground is drawn to scale of 1 to 200 on a centimetre grid. On the grid, design a possible playground. So to convert anything, we have a scale of the drawing to the real world of 1 to 200. And we know that when the scales are like this, it's centimeters to centimeters. So what we've got are the real world measurements here. So if I've got 6 meters, I need to multiply it by 100 because I'm going from a big unit to a small unit to get 600 centimeters. Here I've got 10 meters and I multiply it by 100. I end up with 1,000 centimeters. And I've got 4 meters by 100. So I've got 400 centimeters. And at the bottom, the rockers are both 2 meters, which is 200 centimeters. So now when I put in each of these, it will tell me how many centimeters I need to draw. So let's look at the climbing frame, which is 600. So to get from 200 to 600, I multiply by 3. So my climbing frame needs to be 3 squares by 3 squares. Or 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. For my swing, my 1,000 requires me to multiply by 5, and the 400 requires me to multiply by 2. So this will be 5 by 2 centimeters. And then finally, my rockers, which are 200 centimeters, you're multiplying it by 1. So it's 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, and I need 2 rockers. So on the grid, I need to design a possible playground. So let's start with our biggest piece of equipment, which is our swing, which is 5 by 2. I don't want to put it in the middle because I want to leave some space for my climbing frame. So let's put the swing over, let's say here in the bottom corner, and it's 5 by 2. So it's 2 squares wide and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares long. So that's my swing. Let's put in our climbing frame, and that's 3 by 3. So let's put that in the top corner. So it's 1, 2, 3 by 3. So that's our climbing frame. And then finally, 2 rockers, which are 1 by 1. So we could put a rocker up here and maybe a rocker down there to make our playground look busy and have as much space as we can between them. And that's just one of many designs you can come up with. The important thing is this thing here, which are the dimensions of the pieces of equipment from the strap line that you were given. Question 11. Padma is organising a fundraising event for charity, and the event will include a 3-course meal and a singer. Padma is working out how much to charge for a ticket to the event. The table shows the costs she expects to have. Padma is expecting 230 people. She wants to make a profit of £5,000. Work out the smallest amount she should charge for a ticket. Give your answer to a suitable degree of accuracy, and you must show you're working out. So let's work out the various costs. So if we have 230 people and the meal is £14.25, then we need to multiply the £14.25 by the 230 people to work out the food costs. Do this on your calculator, don't take any chances. That's £3,277.50. We've got the cost of the venue, the fee for the singer, and other costs. So the sum of the costs is the total of all these numbers. So let's add them together. Do it on your calculator. You can put the word sum at the bottom of the table. The examiner will know what you mean. And that's £5,687.50. She wants to make a profit of at least £5,000. So, additional to the costs, we need to add £5,000 to work out the total, which is going to be our target. So if we add the 5,000 to that, you end up with £10,687.50. Now, if we now divide that number by our 230 people, it will tell us what to charge for a ticket. So divide this by 230. Again, do this on your calculator. And the number you get is 46.467 with a recurring on. But that's fine because we're talking about money. We just need an idea of the decimal places. Now, give your answer to a suitable degree of accuracy. So what is the smallest amount she could charge for a ticket? Well, if we round it down to 46 pence, she's going to make a loss and not achieve her 5,000 target. So the minimum amount she can charge is £46, and because of this, 47 pence. So on the answer line, I would put £46 and 47 pence as my answer. Question 11b. Padma wants to have a number of flyers printed to promote the event. She sees these adverts for 2 printing companies. So North printers do flyers 200 for £3.25 and Speedy printers do 1,000 for £18. There's a 12.5% discount on orders over £70. So it would cost £97.50 to have the flyers printed by the Northern printers. How much would it cost to have the same number of flyers printed by Speedy printers? So our starting point is this amount here. So we have the £97.50. So we need to divide by 3.25. And it tells us there are 30 lots of 200 that were bought from Northern printers. So 30 lots of 200 gives us 6,000 that were printed. Now, let's work out how much it's going to cost to get 6,000 printed by Speedy printers. So the flyers, we're told here, are 1,000 for £18. So we've got 6,000 that we're going to divide by 1,000. Which gives us 6 lots of £18 that we need to buy from Speedy printers. Do this on your calculator and you get £108. Now, we've been told there's a discount if we spend over 70, which we have. So let's look at our 12.5% discount for our £108. So 12.5%, so I'll show you in a second on the calculator, you can put percentage in, of the £108. And that will tell us what our discount is. Using the calculator, we have 12.5, then don't forget the shift and the left-hand bracket, percent of 108. Press equals and the SD button, and it's £13.50 or 13.5 on here. So the number on our calculator that we write down is 13.5. So the final amount that we would pay Speedy printers for the printing is the original amount, 108, take away our discount of £13.50, and that gives us £94 and 50p. So in money, 94.50. So on the answer line for our 5 marks, write down £94 and 50p. Question 12a. Simon is driving his car at an average speed of 45 miles per hour. He drives from his home in Warrington to the Lake District, and the journey takes him 3 hours and 4 minutes. Assuming he was not held up in traffic, how many miles did he drive? So, you can either remember it with the triangle with distance at the top. So, to work out the distance, you multiply the speed and the time. So, the distance is equal to the speed, which is 45 miles an hour. Now the time needs to be in decimal format. The 3 hours is 3 hours, but we need to convert 4 minutes into a decimal. So to do that, we divide by 60. And we get 0.6 recurring. So up here, we have to multiply our speed by 3.06 recurring. So let's do the calculation on our calculators. So call up our calculator, and we've got 45 multiplied by 3.0. Now, because the 6 recurring, we've actually got a recurring feature on our calculator. Shift x squared, and then put the number 6 in, and if you notice, it's got the recurring symbol above it. So now when we press equals, we get an exact answer of 138 miles. So on the answer line, 138, and it's in miles. Question 12b. After arriving, Simon decides to go for a walk and take in the scenery. He follows the footpath around the outside of the field. The field is shown in the sketch below, and it's made up of 3 shapes. How far does Simon walk? Use pi as 3.14. So whenever we do perimeters, the outside of the field, we pick a starting point and we walk around and fill in the blanks. So we've got 10. We need to work out this half of a circle. We've got 8 down here. We've got the 6 along there, and then we've got 4 to take us back. So really, all we need to do in this question is work out the distance of this half of a circle. So the circumference of a circle, you need to remember, is pi d, where pi, we've been given the number 3.14. And the diameter, well, it must be the same as this distance here, which is 4. Don't take any chances and do it on your calculator. And you end up with 12.56. Now don't forget, this is the circumference of a full circle. But what we need is half the circle. So we need to divide this by 2. Again, don't take any chances, do it on your calculator. And you get 6.28. So the distance here is 6.28. And the units go after it. So now, to calculate our perimeter, and we'll write it out in full, start at your start point, walk around and add the totals, but write them down so the examiner can see what it is you're putting in your calculator. And you end up with 34.28. So on the answer line for 4 marks, with the working out, of course, 34.28, and don't forget the units. Question 13. Mayer runs a company that makes and sells candles. The company makes a candle in the shape of a cylinder. The candle has a radius of 4 centimeters and a height of 15 centimeters. Calculate the volume of a candle. So you need to remember the volume of a cylinder is pi times the radius squared, that's the area of your circle, times the height of the cylinder. So we can have 3.14 times the radius of our circle, which is 4, don't forget to square it, times the height of our cylinder. Put this in our calculator in one go. 3.14 times the radius, which is 4 squared, times the height of the cylinder, which is 15. Press equals the SD button and you get 753.6 centimeters cubed. 753.6. And don't forget the units of centimeters cubed because we're talking about volume. So question 13b gives us a formula to work out the mass of the wax in grams. And it wants us to multiply the volume, which it's telling us is 130 centimeters cubed. So we multiply that by 100, take away F, which is the fragrance percentage. Now, the fragrance percentage is 10%. So it's 100, take away 10, divided by 100, close the brackets, times 0.83. Now, if you want to, you can put all of this into your calculator in one go. It's slightly tricky, so let me show you how to do that. 130, and we're going to multiply, then we have a bracket that has a fraction in it. The fraction on the top is 100, take away 10. And the fraction on the bottom is 100. Move the rocker to the right so it's at the end of the fraction and close your brackets. Then multiply this by 0.83. So now my formula on the paper is exactly the same as the formula on the calculator. Press equals, press the SD button to get your decimals, and you have 97.11, and that's grams, and that's for one candle, because this is the amount of wax for one candle. So we need to multiply that by the 2,500 candles that we've got. So we end up with 242,775, and this is in grams, don't forget. We're still working in grams from this bit here. We needed to convert it into kilograms, so we know going from grams to kilograms is small to big, we divide, and kilo means 1,000. So divide this by 1,000, do it on your calculators, don't take any chances, and you end up with 242.775 kilograms. So 242.775, and it's kilograms. The company sells candles at £9.60 each, including 20% VAT. So this is the price after we've added 20%. How much VAT is there on a candle? So whatever the original price of the candle is, we've added 20% to get this £9.60. So this is working out the original amount after a percentage change. So our method for doing this is to use the decimal system. So we know 20% is 0.2, and we know the original amount is the number 1. So we've increased it, we've multiplied it by 1.2 to give us our £9.60. To get from the original amount to the £9.60, we've multiplied it by 1.2. So in order to go back the way, we need to divide it by, you guessed it, 1.2. So 9.6 divided by 1.2 will give us our original amount before we added the VAT. Do it on your calculator. So the original price of the candle was £8. And what we need to calculate is the VAT. So we have the amount after the VAT, which is £9.60, and we take off the original price, which is £8. So it's £1.60 that we pay in VAT. And that's the correct answer for your 3 marks, along with the working out. And that is the end of section B, and that's the end of practice paper 2 at level 2. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask your teacher.